I love watching Discovery Channel and reading like travel magazines and stuff. But no, this will be my first time being up close and personal in a jungle.
Wow, so, you've never visited an Indian forest before?
No, so I'm super excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
This forest is sprawling with tigers, leopards, elephants, and there is conflict around the forest in the periphery. And the crux of mitigating a problem is to be at the right place at the right time. And this rapid response unit, which is equipped with 25 different but important items required during a conflict situation.
Continuing the adventures of Nargis in Nagarahole, and this is really a jumbo adventure here.
That was so cool.
Anish, welcome back to you too. This is a famous elephant, Nargis.
Famous.
This is Arjuna.
Arjuna.
Every year during the Mysore Dasara celebrations, you pass through Mysore on the way here.
Okay.
There's this huge procession every year, and he is the elephant who carries on his back a golden howdah, inside which is the idol of the goddess Chamundeshwari. So he walks through the city of Mysore in crowds, shouting crowds, drum beats. He stays calm. He lives here in the forest much of the time, but are you going to go and
That's pretty amazing.
Are you going to go and say hello to him?
Yeah. So elephants are pretty calm. He doesn't feel threatened by all the people shouting.
They have to train him.
They train
take him for rehearsals through the city.
So he gets used to it. Like he's used to it now.
So he's done this for 2 years now.
That's awesome.
He's 55 years old.
He's 55 years old. Boy, you look very good for your age. See, he said thank you, man.
Wow.
An elephant's so big you wouldn't say anything otherwise,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
definitely not.
You have these captive animals here, but there are more than 2,000 wild elephants in this forest around
The
us.
highest number in
Yeah,
India,
between Bandipur, Nagarahole, Mudumalai, Wayanad, and the adjoining forests, there are more than 2,500 elephants.
Wow.
So, did you think when you got up this morning, Nargis, that you'd be feeding an elephant its lunch today?
Yeah, you know, I do that all the time.
All the time.
It's what I do, you know. Just an elephant feeder. It's my thing, you know. It's my talent. Saw how good. No, I didn't. Of course not. This is amazing. It's a very large mouth he has there with a very large tongue.
Mainly this elephant is, you know, used, I mean elephants by the department are used for several reasons. One of the main reasons is patrolling in very, very thick areas, and also when there are wild elephants that have gone out of the forest and created a big conflict outside, it's not easy to just herd them back into the jungle. At that point you use trained elephants called kunkis, and they go and they basically surround that elephant and take that elephant back into the jungle.
Okay, that's
and
very
so for
amazing.
that you need large elephants, and Arjuna sized elephants are used for that.
Wow.
So patrolling, you said.
Patrolling.
Maybe we can also
and
tag along on one of the patrols. And see
yeah,
what
it'd be
goes on.
fantastic to see.
Patrols.
Let's take a look at that.
Let's
Great.
Awesome.
What is so amazing is the intelligence of these animals that, okay, human beings may force them to do this, but they can do so much. This patrolling, for example, it's crazy.
So what actually happens when they're patrolling?
See, what happens, sometimes they have intelligence, some information about poachers, or there is an injured animal that they need to check, or if there is an animal that has been released in the forest, tranquilized and then released. So they want to see if that animal is okay. At that point, in a thick forest like this, it's not safe. Plus, you can't take vehicles everywhere, as I told you earlier. So they need to go on an elephant. Currently, what you see is a foot patrol come elephant thing, because when they are out there, then if there is some information on poachers or something, then to just show that the department is vigilant, they sometimes do this kind of patrols where you have to, so then you have a different elevation from where you can see far away, and then you have a ground patrol as well. So what you see there are people with the guns, and of course the elephant as the main vehicle.
How do they interact with wild elephants? Are they hostile, or can they communicate?
It's mixed, especially when a female is in heat, and if she's giving out pheromones or chemical signals. At that point you have male elephants, wild elephants would try to come and mate with her. At that point the mouth's life is at risk, so at that they have to be very careful. I was once in a place called Rajaji National Park, and I was riding an elephant. We were on a typical jungle patrol, and she was in heat. We didn't realize that, and you had a male elephant that chased us down for almost 3.5 kilometers. We had to move. Wow. In fact, the range of an elephant herd normally is about 2,000 square kilometers. Okay. So can you imagine? So they could just cover that kind of distance. Yeah. Just to give you an example, Bombay city is about 450 square kilometers.
That's all.
Yeah. So you 5 times that size is the range of an elephant herd.
Okay.
So those massive animals, massive bodies can cover great distances, and during this breeding time, one has to be very careful.
Even these elephants who are forest department employees, they are allowed to wander out into the forest.
They do. Because see what they fed. We fed them rice and jaggery and all that, but their main diet is vegetation, and they know what to eat in the jungle. So what they do is they keep a big chain tied to their feet. They are not tied, but there's a chain, and then the elephant is left in the evening or whatever time, and the elephant goes, and wherever he goes, the chain leaves a mark.
And that
so
bell.
Next day, but bell is sometimes, if they don't move around, they won't know. But the chain is heavy, and it will keeps creating that impression on the ground, and they can go and track the elephant back. And another time when they leave these elephants is when they want to send them to drink water. Elephants and water are inseparable. So
how much do they drink every day?
Oh, they can drink easily in one sitting more than 100 liters.
100 liters, and you thought you kept yourself hydrated?
Actually, today I've been bad. I've only had a liter.
So they would take them to a water body, and at that point they're allowed to frolic in the water. They will take loads of water, bathe and all that. So mostly wherever the elephant camps are set up, always near a perennial water body, because that's their daily requirement. They take them to the water twice.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, water, which brings me, Nargis, to your next adventure. Your adventures in Nagarahole are not yet over.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, water comes into it. We're going to be taking you out onto the water to take a look at the wildlife from there. Yay! Out on the Kabini backwaters, it's an incredibly beautiful part of the Nagarahole Tiger Reserve. And protecting this, I mean, it's just so vital to keep these kind of places safe. Now, over the years, Aircel has really raised funds. Where have these funds gone in the last year?
We've also got some RRU boats in Sundarbans. Sitting on a boat, I'm thinking about the RRU boats. Anish, how many do we have there? 3 or 2?
You have 2. They are the fastest flying motorboats that are going today in the department in India. And Nargis, if you can see just behind you, this is the forest department forest patrolling boat, and at all times there will be people with arms on this, because elephants, especially during summer, they come in large numbers. Sometimes more than 200 elephants can be seen grazing on the fresh grass that grows with the receding waters. All the land that is exposed, fresh grass grows, and elephants by the hundreds are found along this river bank, and at that point poachers can make hay, because there are a lot of tuskers that come there.
Right. But what about the local communities living over here? Are they sort of fishing off this, eating on?
Yeah, it's quite natural. They've been around even before the parks were formed.
Exactly.
So they obviously, but see, when it is taken for personal consumption,
that's okay.
It's not a problem. But when it starts becoming commercial, that is, if you start selling fish in markets in Mysore and other larger, like Gundlupet and all, then it becomes a problematic thing. And fishing is per se is not so dangerous, but fishing along with poaching, that goes hand in hand. So if you allow fishermen, then it's very difficult for a department guy to check whether who is who.
So Anish, talking about this fishing that's also poaching, we have this as part of our agenda this year, on the 6-point agenda, that there's going to be zero tolerance on poaching. And I hope that gets implemented, like the RRUs, more implemented.
See, I'll tell you,
STPF was implemented.
See, we, at the end of the day, NGOs can only talk. But the protection mechanism of the tiger reserves is pretty solid. If it was not, we wouldn't have had wildlife. Wildlife has really sprung back. You talk to people who've been in Nagarahole in 1960s and 70s, they talk about walking 10 kilometers and not seeing a single deer. There was
Not even a deer.
And today there are more than 60 deer per square kilometer of Nagarahole.